Welcome to the Structure Management System video training series. In this video I'm going to discuss the Superstructure Form within an in-progress inspection report. You'll notice as you open the Superstructure Form we have the elements on the left, starting with alignment, and you have the navigation pane and the forms on the right-hand side. These forms can be collapsed into the subheadings or expanded. A complete inventory for each of these subheadings can be found within the inventory section. And as I collapse this navigation pane, there are select inventory items or inventory shortcuts on the right-hand side. And these inventory shortcuts are the most popular or most used inventory items to describe the type of elements or the quantity of elements that are available on the structure. And on this superstructure form, as all these inspection forms, the inspector is able to answer three basic questions. What is there? How much is there? And what is its condition? What is there is answered in the inventory shortcuts through a series of drop-downs, member types, main structure types, main structure type systems. How much is there can be answered either in the inventory shortcuts and with a series of equations we'll calculate total quantity. The inspector is encouraged where there are shortfalls or the total quantity is not exactly correct based off the equations from the inventory. They're encouraged to update the total quantity to the correct value. What conditions the element is in can be answered in two different ways. Condition rating, which is a drop-down 1, 2, 3, or 4, and where elements are not present, inspectors encouraged to select blank. The second way to answer this question, what condition is the element in, is through element level inspection. And the primary difference is the four boxes, state 1, state 2, state 3, state 4 are stratified horizontally. And the box to the right of state 4 is the transition rating. The transition rating is a value that is an equation, a weighted value in order to help the inspector see what they probably would have coded it using a condition rating. It's to help the inspector transition into an element level inspection. Inspector is able to select quantity or percentage based off whichever's easier to get the correct value within each condition state. For the purpose of the remainder of this video, I'm going to focus on the condition rating superstructure form. I'm going to go through each element and tell you the units and the total quantity. Alignment currently is a linear foot, and it will be changed to each. Later in 2014, it will be each span. The equation will be total number of spans, or the inspector can go in and, even though it says linear foot, they can type in the number of spans. The text box below each element is for the inspector to supplement or explain the condition that they've applied. And if the inspector scrolls down to the bottom of each form, they'll notice historic remarks, and these historic remarks are what was in the legacy BMS mainframe. Inspectors encouraged to either copy and paste, or start from scratch and type new text. The next visible element on this structure is beams girders. And to give you a visual of this structure, this is a multi-beam continuous steel beam bridge with hammerhead piers. You'll notice there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beams with a number of cross frames, number of bearings at the pier and at the abutments. Switching back to SMS, the total quantity is linear foot and it will remain linear foot. The total quantity is, because there's 5 beams, it will be 5 times the structure length. So for this structure, the structure length is 2,495. The inspector is welcome to use the inventory shortcuts to put in their quantities. This just happens to be one that's a 1-to-1. And next time the form is refreshed, it will populate the total quantity. So in order to hit refresh, I'm going to go up to the top URL and hit the circle arrow, or you can select the button F5, or you can navigate out and back into the form and it will calculate and update the total quantities. You'll notice that the total quantity is updated. The red box around this condition rating indicates that this is the worst bold box code on the structure. And the red text, the red bold box, is just indicating that this is the item that the recommended box is keying on. And so because the lowest is a 1 on a good, fair, poor scale, the recommended is giving a 7, 8, or 9. And it's just a tool. The intent is to help the inspector and aid them into staying within an acceptable range based off what they've coded on the 1 through 4 scale. Inspectors can deviate from the scale, and they can select outside of the scale based off of actual field conditions or the actual location of the defect. Diaphragms or cross frames is in each, and it will remain in each. Inspectors should count all the cross frames or diaphragms. For semi-integral and integral, there is a diaphragm between each of the beams at the end. The beams are encased. So count between each beam diaphragms. Stringers will remain linear foot, and this structure doesn't have stringers, but SMS has shown that there are stringers or that they're available for coding. Inspectors, if this happens, just ensure that the total quantity is set to 0 and the condition rating remains blank. Same with floor beams. It is and will remain linear foot, and everything's zeroed out on this structure. Bearing devices, it's each bearing device, and it will remain each. Total quantity, condition. Protective coating system, it currently is a linear foot, and it's now set to match the linear foot of the steel beams. So the quantity, you'll notice, is the same for steel beams. So you're rating the linear foot, each linear foot of the protective coating system. Fatigue currently is a linear foot. Total quantity is the same, and condition rating should be populated for this. Slab on this structure, the slab is not present. This is for slab type superstructures, and it is square foot, not to include the 2-foot edges, soffits. Truss verticals, each truss vertical, diagonals the same, upper chord. It's each upper chord that's between each panel point on both sides, the left and right side. Truss lower chord the same, gusset plate, it's each gusset plate. There will be 2 gusset plates at each panel point. Lateral bracing, each lateral bracing between connections. sway bracing each cross. Arch is a linear foot. That's a linear foot along the roadway, not along the radius of the arch. Arch column hangers each. Spandrel walls, linear foot along the roadway, not along the radius of the arch. Pins, hangers, hinges is each assembly. Scrolling back up to the top. In order to navigate to the next form, inspectors should select Forms icon and select the next applicable form to code.